gonna try this because, um, you never really know. Sorry for the webcam. Just doing this as an experiment. But usually I participate in other webcasts. I'm kind of doing something on my own just for fun, and really it won't take away from what I really do, just for the participation and fun for it. The stuff that we do. I just want to talk about several things. One being the NBA, what's going on with that, and obviously kind of seeing who's really going to be pretenders. I think everybody knows that the West, it's going to be very tough. The West, heading into the final weeks of the 7 weeks of the season, really, there's going to be a lot going on. In the Northwest, you have Denver, a game up on Utah, Oklahoma City 3.5 back, and Portland 5.5 back. Minnesota at 26. They're pretty much done. In the Pacific, you have the Lakers 8.5 up on Phoenix, 20.5 on the Clippers, 24.5 Sacramento and Golden State. Clippers, Sacramento, Golden State are NCAA 2 teams anyway. Southwest, probably the most competitive of the conference, is Dallas 39-21. San Antonio not far behind. New Orleans, Memphis, and Houston. I think out of all the teams right now, you have the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Mavericks, the Spurs, the Jazz. I think even Oklahoma and Phoenix, they'll probably make the playoffs. I think being Oklahoma, they are, ecstatic. And they have a very good team, and they're gonna have $12 million in cap next year, which is a good thing. And looking at everything that's going on, the Lakers are favored just because they're the champions, but a team that they beat today, the Nuggets, is a team that I wouldn't sleep on, simply for the fact that they are playing a lot better together now than they did in previous years, and they finally had a full year of Chauncey, as well as J.R. Smith finally developed a little bit of consistency. But what works is that Denver has beaten good teams on the road and at home. They just have to build consistency in beating their own conferences or whatnot, and sub 500 teams. And they got to improve their road record. That's a must. They're under 500. Utah's an enigma. And I think a lot of it deals with Darren Williams as well as Carlos Boozer, Mameo Core. Those 3 guys have got to come together. This is Boozer's last year with Utah. And whether they win the division or not, they're going to be pretty good. But I still think they're one and done. Oklahoma City, a lot of potential. I think they can make a lot of noise depending on where they're seeded. Even if they play Denver in the first round, 2-7 seed or 3-6. Portland, right now, I failed to mention them, but Portland's just dealing with a buku load of injuries, and they need to get Brandon Roy back. But just a lot of their talent hasn't panned out, and I think it's time to look deep in their talent and decide what pieces they're going to need, because they're really on the cusp, but I don't see them getting any better. And that's not only this year, but next year and the year after that. In the Pacific Division, the Lakers are the defending champions. Not much to say. They're a very good team. Phoenix is bouncing back. I think they secured a playoff spot so far. Obviously, it depends how they play the rest of the way. Steve Nash leading the way. I'm glad they kept Amari, even though they probably should have traded him for some talent. But they also have Jason Richardson and a couple other guys. I think it's going to work. Southwest Division, Dallas, the Mavericks, they're rejuvenated, but for how long? Jason Kidd, great player, and they're playing in a good stretch. Caron Butler, great trade. Sean Marion, Jason Terry, Dirk Nowitzki, Brendan Haywood, and even when Eric Dampier comes back, they will be very formidable. It's just consistency. They're a little up and down for me. I know they've won 7 in a row, but eventually the wheels are going to fall off there. San Antonio, once again, always an X factor to me, not because they have Duncan Ginobili and Tony Parker, not because of Richard Jefferson, but just the Coach Pop. I think he's a great coach, and he does a very good job. The New Orleans Hornets, no CP3 yet. They're actually above 500 still, but they're a long shot to get there. Same thing with Memphis. Nice bounce back year, but good years from Zach Randolph. They got a good core with Rudy Gay as well as Mike Conley, who shows up every once in a while, and OJ Mayo. But I think they're heading for lottery again. Houston, it's been tough. No Yao Ming. They have Kevin Martin. They got rid of Tracy McGrady. Maybe next year will work out better for them. I think they need to go lottery, tank the season, because who knows what they're going to get from Yao or whenever he's going to come back. Didn't mention the other teams. I think they're Division 2. Moving on to the to the Eastern Conference, excuse me, you have Boston in first, Toronto in second, Philly, New York, and New Jersey. New Jersey 6-53. They're pretty much mathematically eliminated. There you go. The Knicks, they're done. I think they're just waiting for 2010, which is a shame. Philadelphia, I don't know what happened to this team. They probably should have traded Iguodala or Elton Brand or Samuel Dalembert. They didn't do anything. They're just going to be mediocre. But I think during the summer of 2010, they will make some trades when some of these teams that have cap room do not capitalize on some of the free agents. Toronto, surprising that they're 31-27, and Boston, call them as old as you will, they're still a good team, and I think if they're rested for the playoffs, they're going to be very, very dangerous. In the Central, you have Cleveland, Chicago, and Milwaukee, Detroit, and Indiana. Theoretically saying, Detroit and Indiana are done. They're not going to do anything. Milwaukee is above 500. Great team, exciting team with Brandon Jennings and a good core of players. Chicago, the Bulls have Derrick Rose and a couple other players, and plus they'll have $16 million cap space. Funny, they have a good core, but they just don't get consistency. Luol Deng, Kirk Heinrich, Derrick Rose, you can't get anything out of those guys except Derrick Rose, but the rest of the team is okay. I think they'll be pretty good. Cleveland, well, this could be LeBron's last year. No one knows. Even if LeBron and Cleveland wins a title, you got to look at this. Are they going to have money to bring people in? Remember, Antoine Jameson's going to be a year older, has like 2 years in his contract. Mo Williams has been inconsistent, makes a lot of money, and Anderson Varejao is a scrub. Okay, he flops too much and he gets $50 million. Okay, whatever. All right, and Shaquille, yeah, his contract comes off the books. LeBron's contract comes off the books, but they still have a lot of money tied into players. In the Southeast, you have the Eastern Conference runner-up Orlando, Atlanta with 2 games behind. Charlotte has a shot of making the playoffs. Miami too, but Washington, amazingly, they're 21-36. I don't think they'll make it, but that's a big accomplishment knowing that they've lost a lot of players. They traded the core away. Josh Howard gone for the year, and yet they're still competitive in a way. But I mean, Orlando's going to be there. Vince Carter's their X factor. Dwight Howard has just got to hit free throws. Jameer Nelson is great. Rashard Lewis is overpaid, $121 million. I wouldn't want to pay for that, period. But then again, who knows? I think for the West, it's going to come down to Denver and Lakers in the Western Conference Finals again. And the East, it's going to be Cleveland or Orlando. For some reason, I don't think Boston can make it. Atlanta might give some people a run for their money just because they're good. I think Atlanta, if Atlanta were to meet with Boston in the first round, Atlanta would torch Boston. They beat them 4 times in a row. No reason why they can't do it again. Cleveland and Boston, Cleveland, they're going to make it. I mean, they'll pretty much beat every team, but when they play in Orlando, you can have Big Z back. You can have Shaquille O'Neal back. They're still not going to be good enough. Anyway, I think in the finals, it will be the Lakers, and I'm going to have to say Orlando again. I would like to see Orlando again because I want to see a rematch. Because all those games are pretty close. Would I see Kobe versus LeBron? Yeah, but you know what? I really want Orlando to go to prove a point. I think they can, and I think that's what's going to happen. And LeBron could leave Cleveland this summer and go to New York. Although that's another story for another time. Signing off.